starting to get the feeling Mr. Ramirez doesn't want to debate Omar. People don't know him the way I do. Can't look into a kid's eyes, tell him don't do drugs, at least not honestly. Can't look a kid in the eye and say, I'm gonna protect you. Used to beat the shit out of Isaac. To get to know the man, you gotta peel him off in layers to get to what's inside of him. He's got a little bit of stop corruption. He's got a little bit of real politics. A whole lot of peñas. Osiel D Garza, Galvan, Bernice. Whole lot of Pino Lopez in him. You can't tell kids you can protect them. I remember stories that Isaac used to tell me, and I used to ask Isaac, why the hell do you always get into trouble? He says, because he beats me, Oz. I want to see how far he's going to take it. Can you imagine being a kid and having another kid tell you about his old man abusing the shit out of him, but you don't know it's abuse? You don't know what to call it, you don't know what to do about it. He's just a curious kid. He's a little hyperactive. I think people in Rio remember him more than they do his dad or stepdad. Gocha can't stand behind law enforcement. The Rebollar case, he was cheerleading and rooting on for the killer to go free. He hasn't said a word about Chase. That's happening right now. He's got every opportunity in the world to tell us how he stands on the Chase case. Instead, he wants to talk about other stuff, like me. And sometimes you gotta flip things around. You gotta look at what's inside of him. And with Gocha, what we got is a man who pretends a lot. He pretends like he doesn't know me. Talks about me like I'm some blogger from Edinburg, he says. I was born in Rio Grande City. I was raised in this house. I've been in Garceño all my life. I've been around the world, and I've lived on just about every interstate in this country. And everywhere I go and people ask where you're from, it's always Garceño. Where the hell's Garceño? It's between Roma and Rio Grande City. They say, oh, on the way from Zapata to McAllen? I'm like, yeah, that's right. This town called Garceño. I seriously doubt that Gocha has it in him to care for anything that's important, the little things. I had to practically finish raising Isaac. I had to teach him how to be a man, how to work. There was a time when every time I saw Gocha, he would ask me how Isaac was doing, and I remember thinking to myself, you're his dad, you don't know? But that's the kind of man that he is. The kind of man that claims that he was in the DA's office for 8 years. Found an article the other day, I'll show it to you guys in another episode. He was in there for 23 months. He couldn't take the heat. He got out. In another article, he was demanding a 50-cent raise on taxes. Otherwise, he was going to quit. He gave up. I'm surprised he's lasted this long in the race. He left his first wife and found a way to just stop supporting her, just cut her off dry, traded in for a new one. It's about the time that I took Isaac in, saved him from getting evicted. And the whole while, the only reason that I could afford to do something like that was because I didn't have a family of my own. The young man had a problem with video games. He still does to this day. doesn't have what it takes to see what's really important in life. And for years I used to make excuses for him, but recently I stopped. I realized that he was beyond help. There's nothing I could do for him. He's living his own life, he's happy. And Gocha's running for DA, like if that's gonna do something for the community. The man's never done anything for the community. And what has he done? Nothing. Anytime he's out there doing something, he wants to take credit for it one way or another, whether it's political or financial. But what has he actually done? What has he done for the community? I know him. I know him since I was a child. I used to be afraid of him. I used to be careful when I was around him because of the things that Isaac would tell me. I know him through his words, through what he said a few years back, and how he's changed his position. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that he sees something that's wrong in the DA's office. He ignores everything that's wrong about his life and what's going on around his personal world. But he could identify what's wrong in the DA's office. He couldn't do it years ago when he bailed after 23 months. But all of a sudden now, 40 years of defending the scum of the world changes a man. Now he's got what? Insight? Religion? What does he have? He's an atheist. He's going around talking about doing for the community from the start. It's the first time I've ever heard the guy talk about hopes and prayers and prayer hands and emojis and whatnot. Me, I'm not pretending to be something. I'm not pretending to be anything more than I already am or was 5 years ago when I started a better public servant for the voters and the taxpayers. To create a better public servant, to give people a place where they could talk without getting silenced. The same people that are running Gocha's campaigns. Seems like anywhere you go, if you don't say what they want you to, you get banned. Oh, you can't talk there. BPS has changed things a little bit. Now, there's a place people can go. There's a place where I can give my message, talk to my people, people of Starr County, and tell them, hey, this guy's not exactly everything he seems like he is. Sure, the words sound pretty. He uses the word disingenuous a lot. Everything is disingenuous except him. Maybe he says it because his character is disingenuous. Maybe he says it because there's really nothing real behind the man, except maybe real desire. And who's he trying to impress at the age of 65? I mean, you're not comfortable with who you are at that point, but it's all about the money. It boils down to it. All the favors, everything that he used to do, it's all geared towards funneling money out. The schools, city governments, he's a part of something that's bigger than him. He's a pawn. He might talk like he's some kind of important man, but everything he says is scripted. Everything he says, he's told to say. And what does he have to lose to sit down and debate with the man who is the DA right now? I mean, if he's so sure of his ability to prosecute, why can't he argue on his own behalf? Prove to me that he's a better candidate. I know I got a dark sense of humor, and I know it's scary to him. I know he's a little egotistical ego. Gets hurt every time that I insult him, but I have the ability to tone back on it. I can present a different side. I can sit both men down, record them, let them ask their own questions. Let them say what they gotta say. After all, I mean, who really wants to sit down and hear me talk all the time? But this guy, he's been saying a lot of things that aren't necessarily true. Just once I'd like to hear him stand behind something that's real. You know? Say, I want the murderer to get prosecuted. I want justice. But at the same time, I believe in the law enforcement. I believe that a person is locked up because law enforcement found a reason to lock him up. I'm not getting that from him. Seems to be that there's things that are wrong that only he can see. I gotta jump through hoops to understand what he's trying to say. I gotta jump through hoops to believe. I don't want to jump through hoops. I already see what he is. So I gotta give you guys a little bit more context. Back around 1980 something, Gocha brought his whole family over from God knows where, Heavenville I think. And he moved into the house next door. It was a white house that was built by Lupe Garza, my dad's cousin. And this curly-haired, blonde-haired kid comes down the hill asking for friends. And lucky me, I was the friend that he found. Next thing I know, I'm in a lifelong commitment, keeping this kid out of trouble. I remember there were times when I would kind of find him out in the middle of nowhere. His mom used to call my mom and say, hey, go out and get him, go out and find him. So I would. And he'd be out doing, kid stuff, normally breaking stuff, and I'd end up paying for it. My dad used to discipline me for the stuff that he did, and it was all right. I had to take it. Because God forbid, his parents found out about it, Gocha might beat the shit out of him again. So Isaac was Gocha's stepson, and Carolyn was Gocha's Nana's daughter. And she was a cute little kid also. Guess this is it for this one. Huh? So anyway, my old man used to come home from a trip, find windows broken, find stuff broken. He'd ask what happened. I would tell him, Isaac did it. So I'd take a beating for Isaac, a couple belts here and there. It wasn't as bad as what they described Gocha would do to him. And so after a while, I used to get spanked because I wasn't taking care of him enough to stop him from doing stuff. And that was a big part of my childhood. My brother found him one day. He was rolling around in the ground. He got 3rd-degree burns in his feet. He took him over to his house, took him over to the hospital. He was pretty much healing for about a week or so, and it used to drive him nuts. He used to hate being inside the house. He never wanted to be home. He hated being home. When he was a child, he didn't like being around Gocha much either. And I'd spend a lot of time with him, talking to him, trying to figure out. I was just a kid. What the hell did I know? But I did what I could. Try to make him feel better. My brother said I needed to take care of him, so I did. And in time, they moved to Rio, and he was gone, but I still kept seeing guys getting bullied the way he would. So I started trying to do what I could to take care of them too, which is not much when you're a kid. But I listened to Gocha talking about becoming the DA, and I just don't see it in him. I see him sympathizing with guys that beat kids up. I see him sympathizing with guys that are with girls that are much too young to be with them. When he was with his second wife, I want to say he started seeing her when she was like 15 years old. And it's kind of important when you think about it. How is he going to act with someone that's with a 15-year-old girl, grown adult? Is he going to prosecute him, or is he going to think back and think, yeah, I remember when I was that guy. I remember what I felt. It's just not right. You don't need that kind of person driving the wheel behind that bus. But that's what he wants. He wants to be that guy. He can't sell me on the idea, though. He can't sell me on the idea that he's going to be able to protect the little people, the people that need the protection the most. And I'm just not going to stand idle and not say anything. And this guy isn't everything that he says he is. There's a lot more to him than meets the eye. I mean, yeah, he's putting up, videos of himself talking. Really no substance behind what he's saying. But I know this guy. He knows who I am. He can't even say my name. He talks about me like if I'm some random person who decided to talk about stuff, and it's not exactly the way it is. There was a time when I used to go to his house, play with his kid, and all of a sudden he's forgotten who I am because what, he doesn't like the message that I'm putting out there. I can't have an opinion. I played with this kid, so I'm supposed to doom the rest of Starr County to a man who sympathizes with all sorts of things that are just wrong? It doesn't work that way. I got a conscience. I think for myself. I think about my own kids. If something ever happened to them, or even if I was the reason that my kids were suffering, I want somebody to put a stop to it. Not somebody that could think back and sympathize with those kinds of actions. I want somebody that respects the position. And that's not Gocha